enjoy it, Indiana. Enjoy it, man. I think that was a great story. I think it was a great season. It's one of those things they'll talk about for decades.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throw Down Thursday edition, in segment one, we're going to wrap up the college football season, and congratulations to Indiana, and we give you a little preview of 2026, including they are only doing 12 teams. Shocking. Segment two, the $4 million legal standoff between Duke and their former quarterback. And segment three, we're going to talk about tampering. And people tamper? Get out of here. With me today, perfect person to talk to me about these things, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, we're going to start off with the Indiana Miracle and give a little preview of the 2026 season. So Indiana was a 100-to-1 long shot. They went 16-0. They became the first team in modern history to finish 16-0. The last team to finish 16-0 was Yale in 1894. They capped the season with a 27-21 win over Miami. Okay, so Mendoza, or Heisman Mendoza, Fernando Mendoza, who's a Miami native, sealed the win with an incredible run that will be a run for the ages, and there will be a poster, a statue out front of Indiana Stadium with him stretched out. The Big Ten has dominated the past 3 years. Is Indiana a one-hit wonder, or is this something that we're going to see on a regular basis? Is the SEC done? Will, what are your thoughts as we end the 2025 college football season?
Well, Coach, I think the best thing we'll see is Swinney will be back this year. So I think IU has another chance to at least be in the playoff. I don't think it's a dynasty per se. I think this is just a really, really good team. One that the NCAA kind of needed to say, hey, look, we told you it's not just the SEC. Anybody can win this nationally. Anybody can win this playoff thing. It's whatever it is. But I think at some point next year, the year after that, they're going to be in the playoff. They're going to be very, very aggressive. They're going to be a great team to watch. Now nobody's going to. But the thing about it, Coach, is this. It feels kind of the same way with Dan Campbell in a different way. We kind of followed Indiana as they grew and became a much better team into a power. And, we didn't see Dan Campbell win a Super Bowl, but seeing Swinney get a championship, we saw this kind of down the road, so we felt very kind of culminated for us in terms of things. And we know this is college sports. So at some point he's going to leave. He's going to someone who offer him, a nice little bag. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be Michigan in a couple years. I could see that happening, but enjoy it, Indiana. Enjoy it, man. I think that was a great story. I think it was a great season. It's one of those things they'll talk about for decades, and they'll be brothers for the rest of their lives. And shout out to Mendoza, man, who had an amazing season. I mean, you go in, you're the Heisman winner, you win the national championship, you're the number one pick, pretty much. That's what you dreamed for, man. That's what all those reps for, man. For all those weights that you push every more. So shout out to the team. Shout out to the success for the coaches. Shout out for everybody who's going to be drafted and everybody who's coming back. I can't imagine anybody leaving. I found out that Mendoza's brother is leaving, which is
time to
go play, but shoot. It is what it is. It was a package deal, as they say, Coach. So congratulations to Indiana.
And with that, the decision has been made. 12-team playoff next year. So the College Football Playoff Management Committee officially confirmed that the field will remain at 12 teams for the 2026-2027 season. This effectively delays a move to a 16 or 2014 format. So ESPN imposed a December 1st, 2025 deadline for format changes. An extension to January 23rd was granted, but no consensus was reached. Shocking. The stalemate. The SEC, led by Greg Sankey, pushed for 16 teams, The Big Ten, led by Tony Petitti, countered that they would only accept 16 if a move to 24 teams was guaranteed within 3 years. Last week on the show, we talked about the FCS model, which has 24 teams. So now, expanding beyond 16 teams would likely trigger a look-back provision in the $7.8 billion ESPN contract, potentially opening the door for other networks like Fox to bid on games. Okay, so with that, will we have new qualifications for 2026? Or as we like to say in education, in terms of grading and reporting, we are cooking the books.
Yep.
The Power Four lock, champions of the SEC, Big Ten, Big 12, and ACC are guaranteed automatic bids, regardless of their ranking. So Duke would have been in and lost in the first round. The G6, the highest ranked champion from the group of 6, now including the rebuilt Pac-12, will receive one automatic bid. And my favorite team, for all the wrong reasons, the Notre Dame clause. The Irish are a lock if they finish in the selection committee's top 12, and they don't have to share the money with anyone. And all season, we're going to say, they're going to keep them at 13, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the scheduling impact. The ACC and the SEC are moving to 9-game conference schedules, and that's expected to produce more 2 or 3 loss teams, creating a tougher evaluation for at-large bids. First-round games remain on campus sites. Quarterfinal, semifinal rounds will be hosted by traditional bowl sites. The national championship game will be held at a place you're familiar with, sir, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on Monday night, January 25th? 25?
That's crazy.
Jiminy Crickets. Remember, football is supposed to be a first semester sport. And this will be the latest a champion has been crowned in the history of FBS. Will, I gave you a lot, but you have been following this. When you hear that they're sticking with 12 and the rationale why and the data behind it, what is your reaction?
They know what people are talking about. They know if they open the club a little bit too much, it's a slow drip, I kind of thing. They got a whole week and a half, I think the last 5 years, of complaining teams that didn't make it or did not make it. That's their lifeblood right there. They're like, look, we have actually no games on right now, but we need people to talk about college football. What's the best way to do it? By not letting people in and tell them who should get in. They know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. They're kind of seeing the media. They're seeing how they're feeling it out. There will always be 1, 2, 3 teams this year who didn't make the playoff that we can argue and talk about for a week and so, just to keep things going. And that's kind of the grind. I think every couple of years they expand the playoff, expand a little bit. So I think they know what they kind of do in terms of like building up anticipation, building up the spectacle, as I will say. All these rules and things like that, they think it's going to change anything. But at the end of the day, coach, at the end of the day, you have all these protections, all these, playing over here and 9 games over here, and you get game and you're guaranteed over here. You gotta win the games. If Notre Dame shows up with 4 losses, that clause don't mean nothing. So I love that they're working on it. I wish they worked as much with the NIL side of stuff to figure it out. But at least that they got a good product here with the playoff, and they're managing it and they're focusing on it. So keep moving, keep progressing, and I think it's going to get better and better, a better much product.
All right. So fans, in segment 2, we're going to talk about court. Okay. Duke is in court with their former player, and that's probably not the place we want to be. But hey, you sign contracts, you deal with big boy things. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, the $4 million legal standoff between Duke and Darian Mensah. Or in other words, do contracts actually mean something? So former Duke quarterback Darian Mensah led the Blue Devils to an ACC championship and should be celebrated for years and years and years and never have to buy a drink in Durham. But that's not the case because he publicly committed to return in December and then entered the portal on the last day, which is January 16th, and is expected to land at Miami, who's a conference rival. The $8 million hammer. Duke is suing Mensah, citing a multi-year NIL contract worth $4 million annually, and the school argues that it has, quote, exclusive rights to Mensah through December 31st, 2026. I just don't even like how any of this sounds. So a judge allowed Mensah into the portal, but issued a temporary restraining order, TRO. Yes, and every week it seems we're talking about TROs, Will, preventing him from enrolling at another school or practicing until a February 2nd hearing. So he can't even enroll. So regular students can unenroll and enroll anywhere they want, but this guy, because of a contract, even though he's not an employee, has some blocks. Duke argues that if Mensah leaves for Miami, their marketing rights and their team leadership has become worthless, causing harm that a simple cash buyout can't fix. Will, as you hear all of this, what do you think, sir?
Well, the first thing I would say is, man, if they only had some sort of policy or some sort of framework that would, allow this to manage and go through this process. But part of me thinks is, Mensah, it's time to put on your big boy pants. This is part of being an adult. This is part of contract. This is part of agreements. You can't say, I'm going to do this, and then 2 weeks later, without any sort of notice or any sort of telling anybody that I'm going to do this, and you go against your word. There will be consequences. Sometimes financially, sometimes there'll be actual on field. You may not get to play. Obviously, you're not enrolled. Now it's a very awkward situation because you can't enroll into any school, and you definitely can return to the to Duke. That's going to be kind of awkward, even to play quarterback. You put yourself in a really, really precarious kind of situation. And I gotta ask, Coach, who is managing this child? Who is giving him guidance? Who is telling him how to operate, even from a business standpoint, saying, hey, don't tell anybody that you're doing anything if the last day is December, whatever. Don't say you're coming back, even if it's on record for, hey, I'm coming back, guys. Da, 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 da. Don't say that. I just feel like there's things going on that these kids don't understand, and I think they're trying to make moves like adults. I'm big dog Darian Mensah, man. I know what's going on. I got my dad with me. He's gonna teach me how's going on. I got an agent. Yeah, he got an MBA. You need to get representation, because things like this, it seems it's elementary. It's like this should not happen. This is all stupid. And really at the end of the day, it costs him. He's not playing anywhere. He's not gaining any credits here. He's not going to class, and his reputation is already tarnished because as a university, you're not going to bring him in and say, man, I'm going to bring this kid in. He's already not telling me the truth and lying and want to get out of contract, stuff like that. They don't want to deal with stuff like that. So it's just really, really, really a bad situation. I can't see him playing. I can see Duke being petty enough to be like, yeah, we're going to hold on to this until we get our money back. We'll see what happens, but it's just a really, really unfortunate situation for a young kid who had an amazing season, like you said, and now his name is getting tarnished because they're looking at him. Oh, he's greedy, or he's not. He has no integrity in following up what he wants to do. It's just really unfortunate, Coach.
Yeah. Well, selfishly, here's where CK Safe Project comes in. We offer a specialized consulting package in terms of transfer portal navigation. So for $1,500, he could have reached out to us and our experts and told us, here's what's going on. And we could have provided comprehensive help to navigate through all of this. It still would have been his call, but this is where we're like, why don't you allow experts? Because I can tell you one thing. I don't know what the contract is, but I know whatever Duke wrote is better than whatever advising you is going to be. Whatever the Big Ten wrote in their contract for the guy in Washington is going to be better than Uncle Joey or whoever you're working with, because these are highly academic schools. So I'm smart enough to pause and let experts assist in the process. Another thing we offer for $1,800, again, one time, is NIL strategy consultant. We have people on our staff who that's what they do. And it just pains me that when your future is on the line, experience matters. And people don't use the resources available. They just are often reactionary. So this is our annual plea, our regular plea to say, go to our website, www.cksafeproject.org. Take a look at our services, take a look at our blogs, take a look at what we've done, and let us help. We try our best to keep our prices as low as possible because we're a nonprofit and we're often working with first-time college attendees. But when you sign something, as Big John told me, don't tell me how old you are. I want to hear about your birthday. If you took the money, you take the responsibility. So whatever happens, it's on you. And if your legal counsel or whoever you have advised you wrong, then good luck with that, because they've got a valid case. You're just looking at it from a legal perspective. Here's what you signed to do for 2 years. Here's the amount of money we paid you for your goods and services. And here's what you said in December. And now this comes up. Discovery is for everyone. So if we go to court and say, give me your phone, and we're looking for this, and then it is seen that Miami has openly done something, hey, if I'm Duke, we'll know I'm not as petty as Mike King, but I can flirt with it. And I'm going to go to the hill with that. So with that, in segment 3, we're going to talk about Dabo and Clemson and how petty he is. And we'll have that conversation. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy, designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.cksaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3, tampering and the Oxford, Mississippi courtroom. In other words, Dabo versus Golding and the fight for Trinidad. So Dabo Swinney blasted Ole Miss coach Pete Golding for blatant tampering with linebacker Luke Farrelly. I don't even know if he's any good. He has to be some type of good, but whatever. Swinney alleges that Golden texted Farrelly during an 8 a.m. class asking him about his buyout and sent a photo with a $1 million contract offer. Stop texting. You also have Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, who is suing the NCAA after being denied a 6th year of eligibility. His lawyer filed suit in Oxford, 1 mile away from campus, under a judge who's an Ole Miss alum and former quarterback. Conflict of interest? I don't know. Okay. And then you just had Alabama player Charles Bediako get a TRO, and I can give you the temporary restraining order. Again, another time talking about TROs, allowing him to return to college basketball immediately despite having signed pro NBA contracts. Ole Miss is using this as momentum to override the NCAA. Cotton Man, these are the things we're talking about. What is your reaction to Dabo and his situation at Clemson with Ole Miss?
I think it's just very funny. Dabo is the guy that was complaining about the transfer portal and complaining about NIL, and now he's right in the middle of a very interesting NIL transfer portal situation. Um, he's behind the he's I think he's behind the 8 ball on this one. I think he is upset because he's one of those coaches who's from the previous era where I used to get so much talent. I used to get the best and the best where my D line was, 4 deep, my DBs were 2 deep. I had receivers all over the place. I had guys over this. And now in the now in his new iteration of his tenure, he's not getting those anymore. People aren't going to Clemson. The best receivers aren't going to Clemson. The best quarterbacks are not going to Clemson. And now he's trying to catch up, and he's probably a little salty about it. He's like, okay, well, I'm finally going to do this transfer stuff. I'm going to do this NIL stuff. And then he's finally do it. And now he's like, well, now I got to fight for players, and I gotta tamper in and all this stuff. I think the man is just too old for the era. I think he's not ready to go for the era because I don't see anything wrong. I mean, again, I'm with you, Coach. I don't know why you're taking pictures of a $1 million contract and sending it over SMS. Whatever happened to call people and saying, "Trust me, it happens. If you want to see it, come see me." But yeah, he's an old man on his lawn complaining at people who are on his grass and walking too close and things like that. Because at the same time, I will bet anything that you would like to say, Dabo has a nice history of tampering as well. I'm sure he has a nice history where he's like, hey, text that kid. Aren't you friends with that kid? Ask him if he wants to go to Clemson. Or, so it's just a dirty game. And I think right now he's getting a little too old for it. But, if you're not cheating, you ain't trying. So.
All right, Bobby Heenan. Okay. So, couple of things. One, it is not a secret that I have not been the biggest fan of Dabo Swinney and how he's treated his players over the years. I've been very clear with that. One of the things that I am big on, Keith Adams, is player relationships. Whether you agree or not, any player who's played for me will say, look, coach is going to go to bat for you. And as the landscape shifted, I did most of my research between 2013 and 2017, and I saw the landscape changing. And I saw the people who adapted, and I saw the people who did. People like Roy Williams, Coach K, they got out. Nick Saban got out. I'm not doing this. Dabo stood on his lawn and said, at Clemson, we develop players and blah, blah. And we're like, okay, whatever. And I said at the beginning of the year, if you like the traditional way of doing college football, you better root for Clemson because this is the last bastion of not getting players in the portal and whatever. And Clemson season speaks for itself. So I don't have to downgrade Clemson season. They did that already. So that's one thing. Two, they've been cheating in the NCAA since 1905. The NCAA was founded and developed because they were cheating in college football. So save me with the sanctified, filled the Holy Ghost. They've been cheating a long time. And they're going to cheat long after I'm gone. And then there's the legal aspect of, hey, man, what are you doing? Discovery is discovery for everyone. And I'm petty. So I hope, just like I hope Jerry Jones took it all away with those contracts and Dak and everything, everybody keeps folding. So I want somebody to have enough gumption to say, this was wrong. This is the hill I'm going to die on. And we're going to follow the entire court proceeding. From discovery, give me all the cell phone records, and give me an FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act. I want it out there. And then, because we have rules and regulations, people say there's no rules and regulations. Well, there are clear rules and regulations. We just haven't followed any of them. I want somebody to push it through. So, Dabo, you want me on your side? Push this all the way through the court system, be very boring, ask for discovery, and then we'll see if somebody has enough gumption to take it all the way. And to the young scholar and tell, not all money is good money. So I hope you made some good decisions. And more importantly, I hope you get a degree out of all of this, because we don't want you to exhaust eligibility. We want you to gain a college degree out of it. Will, you have heard my rant since you were 15 years old. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this week?
I just think that and we talk about it all the time, you know, all this money going around and tampering and, you know, transfer portal and landscapes of what's going on, and very, very, very few talk about education. Very few people are saying, hey, we want Trinidad Chambliss to go to this university because he wants to change his major. He wants to be a veterinarian. He wants to do this. I mean, at least help me. At least let us believe. At least tell us believe. We know it's the money, but and it's just a shame. It's a shame because they said at the end of the day, coach, we're missing the point of going to college. And it's you're losing that freedom of being one of the biggest things of college where I went was that freedom, man. You can get in trouble. It's okay, man. We'll figure it out. You're young, things like that. But now there's real consequences, real money affecting your future, occupation, whatever you want to do. And your integrity is being tarnished. It's just a shame. And at the end of the day, I mean, they even had with what's his name? Carson Beck. I graduated 2 years ago. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing here, coach?
All right. So as I wrap up, a couple of quick hitters. One, the further you move away from measurable academic progress, the more trouble you're going to have. And we said that in the beginning of our research. So if we can get schools and NCAAs to just say, from your graduation from high school or from the time you're whatever age in Europe or however you're doing this, you have X amount of years to complete this process. And if you choose insert item, whether it's a a professional contract or whatever, then that is not allowed. You can do that. That's not hard. That can already be done. And you can transfer as many times as you want if at the end of the semester you have met measurable academic progress. Now, we have been having sham majors for 1,000 years, but I would much rather deal with the interdisciplinary studies major, the general studies major, the Duke communications degree that everybody got in the early 90s so they could go 3 years instead of 4. I'd rather deal with those issues than deal with this. So with that, as we close this week, yes, feel free to go back and look up Michael Jordan's geography degree, and I'm sure he's used that a lot. And don't forget, North Carolina had the African-American history degree that everybody got the sham on. That's in my book. You could go ahead and look at that, and that's no shade on anybody. But the reason why Carolina didn't get in trouble is because the general students got over too. So that's already taken care of in Syracuse. There's so many. But as we close this week, we are making the seasonal shift on the Odd Coaches podcast. With the conclusion of college football, we move our college basketball coverage to Throwdown Thursday episodes, which means we cover men's basketball in segment 1, women's basketball in segment 2, and yes, all of the college football and admin notes in segment 3. It's a total college situation. We'll make the switch back in August when we start, our conference previews and all. But it's a good time to make that switch. It'll be February next week, so it's time to make that changeover. So, on behalf of Captain for Life, Will Cotton, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the iCoaches podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. Follow us on the X platform at Odd Coaches, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the iCoaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.